Sarah Strobel was a 23-year-old woman from Huntington Station, Long Island, New York. Huntington Station sits just south of the North Shore, and it's a normal working-class neighborhood. Her death came as a shock in October of 2013. Her lifeless body was found in a local nature preserve, and the parallels to the then unsolved Long Island serial case were very eerie, and everyone was quick to point it out. Sarah was a popular girl who at 23 turned to sex work as she battled a heroin addiction. As you may remember, 2013 was the height of the heroin epidemic, so it comes as little surprise that her story mirrored some of the other girls who were found on Gilgo Beach, and Manorville for that. Friends remember a girl who was friendly, outgoing, until she hooked up with a quote-unquote unsavory boyfriend when she was still only 19 years old. The same friend who didn't want to be named recalled Sarah surprised her when she started talking about becoming an escort and how she made $200 to $300 per hour. Nonetheless, this friend would give her rides to meet these older men at 7-Eleven and gas stations where they would give her money. A local Huntington man, FERNANDO was arrested for her death in 2015 and was convicted in 2017. He was already in prison on an unrelated assault charge, let's leave it at that, when they were arrested and charged him for this crime. At the trial, they showed that Sarah had been assaulted, then strangled, and that Sarah had many defensive wounds. There was also DNA evidence linking him to Sarah, but in an odd turn of event, 5 years after his conviction, an appeals court would overturn his 25 years to life sentence. The New York State Appellate Division ruled that the DNA alone was not enough evidence to tie him to the 2013 death of Sarah Strobel. Fernando is obviously a very dangerous man, but this highlights the dangers of a case not being built strong enough to withstand reasonable doubt. Even if a person is viewed as guilty via the media, the internet, the public at large, and finally, most importantly, a jury, and even if they have DNA, these cases will typically get a second trial where the convicted will get to say they didn't get a fair trial. They'll blame inadequate attorneys or some other, lame reason that they feel that they didn't get that trial. And in this case, it actually worked. So Fernando got off. Do I believe that Rex Hauerman is somehow connected to this case? I would say probably not. And at the time, many suspected it was, but there's some things that veer from the pattern that we know now. So Huntington Station's close to the North Shore, while Rex was mainly on the South Shore. It's not a long trip, but probably a half hour north to south. But seems there was little effort as well put into hiding Sarah after the fact. Something that Rex absolutely put a lot of effort into. However, in light of the original conviction being overturned and them saying that the DNA, which could have been just evidence of him, having sex with the victim, it may be worth a second pair of eyes to ensure that Sarah's case gets justice. I don't know any more than you. Maybe Rex did have an involvement, maybe he didn't, but it's definitely worth bringing it up now so that there can be some type of closure in this case. So for Fernando's part, it looks like, as per the criminaljustice.ny.gov website, he was deported back to Mexico on January 4th, 2021. So at this point, he's a free man. This also reminds me of John Bitroff, who was convicted of killing 2 sex workers decades ago and had become a top suspect in the eyes of many for the Long Island serial killer. Unsuccessfully, he used a similar legal strategy at his trial. His lawyer famously said the DNA linking him only proved that he had sex with the woman and not that he killed them. It's been impossible, however, to get a Freedom of Information request on that case, and the state's evidence, as it's all tied up in appeals. However, there's been some links, and from the lab, they're critical of the conviction. But like all things with this case, if they aren't confirmed by a reliable source, they're almost as good as a guess. Anyhow, this is a short one, but I just wanted to bring the Sarah Strobel into play here. Thought it was interesting that guy who was definitely convicted is now living a free life just because of the DNA. Hopefully, something like that doesn't happen here with Rex. But it seems like their evidence is definitely very strong. They're putting it out in public, and I can't imagine what they're holding back. Just so you know, I'm working on a long form video on Israel Keys. If you like our videos, definitely subscribe, hit the like button. If you can, put a comment, that really helps. And stay tuned. Thanks for watching.